I'm Tamara Leigh, and this is your Blaque Report. Today, June 18th, would have been Sam Nordquist's 25th birthday. You may have learned about Sam's story earlier this year. He was the young trans-masculine gentleman who was lured from his home in Minnesota to Hopewell, New York, a small town between Canandaigua and Geneva, New York, searching for love. Once there, he was okay for a month or so, and then his family lost contact with him. They called investigators to ask for a welfare check, which led to an investigation, finding out that several individuals had held Sam captive, tortured him, and eventually murdered him, and left his body in a field that was located on February 14th of 2025. Those individuals are now awaiting trial. The closest nearby city of Rochester, New York, today will be turning the skylight lights of the city pink, white, and blue in honor of Sam's life and their dedication to supporting trans and non-binary folks from their community and around the world. Many executive orders that came out of the White House in January limited the ability of trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming folks to have passports that indicated their gender identity. As of yesterday, U.S. District Judge Julia Kobik issued a ruling saying that that was unjust. In her ruling, she stated that even assuming a preliminary injunction inflicts some constitutional harm on the executive branch, such harm is a consequence of the State Department's adoption of a passport policy that likely violates the constitutional rights of thousands of Americans. Last month, she issued an injunction that only applied to the 6 individuals that were listed on the ACLU lawsuit against that ban, and now it has been extended to folks without passports, passports that are going to be expiring within a year, people who need new passports because their passports were lost or stolen, if they need to change their name or their sex designation. Activists and advocates are encouraging folks in any of those cases to apply immediately. The courts are always a battle. Things can be appealed. It can go back and forth. So while this ruling from Judge Kobik stands, go get your docs. Run, don't walk. If you are financially in the position to do so, please make those moves immediately. And if you are not financially able, there are organizations in almost every large city that have funding for those changes. So reach out, connect with your resources, and try to get those paperwork in as soon as possible. On the complete other end of the spectrum, the Supreme Court upheld Tennessee's ruling against gender-affirming care for trans minors. This ruling will not only affect Tennessee residents, it will bolster the conservative wave to remove transgender care for both minors and adults across the country. Almost half of the country's states have rulings very similar to Tennessee's current ban. The Supreme Court's decision was penned by none other than the Supreme Court's Chief Justice John Roberts and signed by 5 of his ultra-conservative associates. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, a member of the court's liberal wing, wrote, "The court abandons transgender children and their families to political whims. In sadness, I dissent." She also said that this opinion does irrevocable damage to the Equal Protections Clause and invites legislators to engage in discrimination by hiding blatant sex classifications in plain sight. And with that, the fight for human rights rages on. In better news, if you love this t-shirt, it is from one of those fighters, Jaya Bolden, who is the CEO of Be Diverse Network out of Florida. She is selling these shirts. You have seen them on celebrities, on the red carpet, on the news, on T.S. Madison, on Tatiana, on all the folks. So if you would love one of these shirts, make sure you check her out on Instagram, on Facebook, on her Etsy store, and support the movement.